Hello, I'm
Brett,
sorry to keep you waiting. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. We have no editor today, so let's just jump right into it.
Okay, great.
Excuse me. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. You are?
I'm Ari Steinhorn. I'm a writer and a journalist and media entrepreneur.
We have our first question for you today.
Ooh,
We have a
okay.
user submitted question.
Audience participation. I like it.
I know.
Are those overalls, Vince?
I will. I
That's
am
my
not.
question.
I'm not trying to play up a character. I have been cooking maple walnut sap all day down
Oh,
in a
wow.
syrup, and I smell like a campfire. Um, so
That sounds delicious, though.
It is, but there's a couple jars at my office. Help yourself by all means if you stop by. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I'm trying to find this question. All right.
Oops. Let me silence
My goodness. Okay,
message.
so we had a video a couple days ago about a
Hmm.
gentleman who went to a grocery store as a customer, not as an employee, and the staff ended up screaming racial slurs at him,
Hmm.
and he took a video, and he can't get an attorney to handle the case for him. And on that video, excuse me, YouTube user VA993 said, and I think this is more like a for your take on this, but VA993 said, take the video to the local news and see if one or more stations can run the story with the video. There have been cases like this involving restaurants, particularly in the South, which I think they're referencing Denny's there. And many
Hmm.
of, excuse me, in many of those instances, there is no video of the incident, but here you have one. There might be a receipt where the waiter wrote a racist slur instead of the customer's proper name, something like that. There are videos on YouTube of situations like yours in public accommodations. I agree with Vince's suggestion for you to check with local civil rights attorneys. If they are interested, they will help you get to news stations. All right. So, context, I guess. I was like, hey, so you're like, it's hard to find an attorney for a public accommodation discrimination, like at a grocery store, because the damages can be so uncertain. It's hard for
Yeah.
attorneys to like throw money at that case, throw hundreds of attorney hours at that case. That's why you're having a hard time. So this person suggested we'll go to the news. Love your thought on that.
Yeah. So I think if they wanted to take it a step further, they should post it on TikTok.
Hmm.
And TikTok, like, so I had a situation, I mean, nowhere close to what you're describing, but I was on an airplane and it took off, and 10 minutes in, the pilot gets on and he's like, "Hey, so the cabin seems to be burning. There are fumes coming from the front cabin. So we're gonna redirect and fly back to Montego Bay in Jamaica," was where I was flying out of.
Wow.
So I never had that happen where we took off and then like went back to the airport. So then a fire, for some reason, they don't evacuate us from the plane. But a firefighter comes in, and it was just absurd because he was wearing this huge mask, like a Darth Vader mask and an oxygen tank, and breathing. And he had some device, and he was testing and measuring. And so I filmed it, and I posted it on TikTok. And I already have somewhat of a baked in following on TikTok, but it got like 15,000 views to the point where I was getting reached out to by um, platforms that scan social media and aggregate. They'll sometimes even pay you for the videos, and then they bring them to the local news and like basically disseminate them to the broadcast news. So I think that this person should potentially spin up a TikTok. If they post the video, make sure that they post a caption under the video that explains what's happening, telling people to put their sound up. Even if they don't have a TikTok account, they could spin up just a fresh one. And they don't have to have their name affiliated with it. They could if they wanted. And then they have to use the hashtag FYP, which is for you page. And that's how the algorithm directs and routes videos to people, is through this FYP page. And TikTok is also very incentivized to share videos like this because those are the kinds of videos that people share outside of TikTok. So like they'll, text it to someone or send it to their Instagram or another platform. And the more that that's happening, the more TikTok algorithm, the TikTok algorithm, what are words, will promote the video. So I think that that's what that person should do.
That is great advice. Question. So you have a fairly large TikTok following. We don't know what this person's TikTok following is. It could be 5 people or no people. Does that make a big difference for TikTok?
No, the algorithm is, so long as you include that hashtag FYP, it will automatically be seen by a couple hundred people. And then if those couple hundred people share, then it just snowballs, and it's something that literally anyone could access. That's what I love about TikTok, is that the algorithm is so exploratory and it's discoverable.
That makes
Um,
sense.
yeah.
I love it. Okay. And that would, I mean, selling the video doesn't get you, I mean, it might get you something, but also you're pushing back on the people who did this bad thing to you, which is has a value all in and of itself. Okay.
Totally, and just showing, like, yeah, if somebody's yelling racial slurs at you at a grocery store or a store, I mean, if you wanted to be really bold about it, you could tag that store, if it is a Denny's or whatever it is, because that puts pressure on the store.
This is like a top 5 grocery store, I guess. But yeah, I guess you would tag the store. Why not? Yeah, certainly. There's some famous cases. I just assumed Denny's because there were some famous cases against Denny's, I think, in the South for racism issues. And I think that was in the 90s. And I hope they clean that up. They fix that, right? Because I love me a grand slam, but I can't support bad
Yeah,
behavior, right?
yeah. Nope.
All right. So all right, that was our first question of Ari helping the pro se community
I like
potentially. What?
I like these questions.
I
Yeah,
think it's good. I mean, the reality is there's a lot of people in the world who can't afford you, and the
yeah,
idea that you're willing to give back is pretty amazing. So I think that's a value for folks. You want to start with the stories?
yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's try to go a little short today. I know your
Okay,
time is valuable, but also we're not going to edit this at all. I'm just going to go live with this tomorrow. So
cool.
yeah, one
Okay,
episode.
so let's do it. This first news story, that Trump signs an order ending union bargaining for a lot of federal employees. What are your thoughts, Vince?
I don't think he can do that. Is my thought like that? So I haven't read in depth yet, but I don't believe he can unilaterally end collective bargaining for
Yeah,
federal employees. Just as a gut, like I'd have to research it. I
he's
don't.
saying that the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978 gives him authority to halt collective bargaining. That's his rationale. But I'm sure there will be a lot of legal action after this, and judges will challenge it.
So he can absolutely, without question, slow down collective bargaining and make it so ridiculous that you go years upon years without a contract.
Mm,
Which could, in the interim, push people out because people want their raises. There's a lot of things people want. Also, though, before he did this, about 6 weeks ago, he did get funny with the NLRB, removing their actual quorum. I don't know if they've reached a quorum yet, but he
mm,
took some people off of the NLRB. There's a lot of bad reporting about that, where people are like, he removed the Democrat coded spots in the NLRB. That's not a thing. There's no bipartisan requirement as to who is on the NLRB, but he removed the quorum, so they can't make certain decisions, just certain decisions. That would be the body that might have interceded here.
right.
I don't want to give this administration too much credit, but you can kind of give Elon Musk that kind of credit sometimes. Like, would they
Yeah.
remove the quorum, wait 6 weeks, and then right hook, follow up on the combo? Could
Uh,
be,
so
could be.
it was all orchestrated to, like, sort of have the dominoes fall.
Maybe I don't want to be like, oh, they're playing 3D chess or anything like that, but
Yeah,
it's looking a little clever right now.
it is. I mean, I think in general, yeah, they just want to, like, completely gut the government and have full control of it themselves. I mean, like,
Yeah.
they don't want there to be any sort of power that anyone who still is remaining at the federal government
Yeah.
has over them. Um, but yeah, and they want people to come back to work. They want people to be in the office. And I guess this thing that they're citing from 1978 applied to the CIA and NSA and FBI, like to limit them from collectively bargaining. But now they're applying it to all these other agencies like justice, agriculture, you name it, veterans.
I mean, I am perfectly fine if we want to clean out the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA, but I do get worried about some of the other agencies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I guess we'll see. We'll see if you can do this. I'm sure there's going to be a challenge.
Okay, this is a good segue into the next news story. What it takes to fix a quote mean workplace. What do you I know you have an interesting take on, and I agree with this to some extent, but like, you know how I think one of our very first conversations was about how bullying is not illegal at
Yeah.
work unless it's like a, tied to a protected class and bullying because someone is a woman or because someone is a person of color.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but I also think that mean workplaces, like you don't want some sort of civility code to the point where people can't be bosses and like anything they say could be used by the employee against them. But also sometimes I see people who are bullied they're worse off psychologically, physically, like their health deteriorates more so than if like they were once hit on by a boss. I don't know. Like if someone
Oh,
is
interesting.
yeah, like if someone is like bullying you and there's no way to fix it, and sometimes it can be very subtle and sinister and malicious in that way, and it takes a toll on people.
It does. I mean, I do have a odd view on this because I think I operate a mean workplace. Like I think I'm guilty. We've had over the past whatever decade or so, I've had guys come in and be like, "Oh, so and so's being mean to me. She's taking away my cases. How do I earn money if she takes away my cases?" And I'm like, "She doesn't have the power to do that, buddy. What are you talking about?" She's like, "Well, he's like, well, she took him," and I'm like, "Yeah, because you
Mm,
let her. Like, she doesn't. There's only one person here who can assign cases. Spoiler alert, it me. But like,
yeah.
if she came in and said, 'Give me your files,' and you, because you're soft, were like, 'Okay, okay, middle manager,'
Mm,
I I can go make her give them back. But at the end of the day, what does that say about you? Do you have what it takes to fight about hate crimes and rip money out of employers? And
mm,
I don't know if you do, right? But
yeah,
that's not how you would run an engineering room or
right,
create a writer's room, you know?
right. Yeah, I mean, I guess different it's I feel like the problems always arise when people it's like a square peg round hole situation and a person is trying to force themselves into an industry or a thing that they're just not inherently great at, you know? Like it's like people have to deeply know themselves to succeed. If they don't want to, to fight hate crimes and they go home every day and they're like devastated and they can't compartmentalize, like that's hard. Maybe they should be in a different field. But also like I don't know, there have been some workplace situations that I've been in where people are just like malicious, but so subtly
Yes.
malicious.
Yes.
It's like hard to actually it's like, "Oh, I know what you're doing." But it's like you can't there's no smoking gun or thing to pinpoint because sometimes these people can be really clever in how the like passive aggressiveness and malice plays. I actually prefer blunt. I don't know if I prefer mean. I think people should still try to have some sort of like respect for each other, but I prefer people that are like blunt and will just say I don't like this much more than like the weird sinister like the malice. Like that stuff is hard.
I get it. I do. A couple weeks ago, somebody was like, "You don't seem to understand. I'm insulting you." And I was just like, "I know. you don't have anything I want. So you can't. Like you don't matter. So
Right.
you're saying a lot of things, but and that's my perspective. But
Yeah.
and
Whatever.
like to your point, different industries. I managed bouncers for a decade. If I had a bouncer who's like, hope we get a fight tonight, I'd be like, cool, here's a hundo. Get the fuck out of here. You're done. Like, you don't work here anymore.
Yeah.
But if I have an employment attorney who's like, let's mess him, let's do it. Oh, different game. Okay. Here you
Mhm.
came to play. Okay. This is good. This is good, right? Different worlds.
Yeah. But I also think part of it is like it should be in some way on an employer to know what qualities they need in a person. I guess you can't always know when you're first interviewing someone the full scope of like how their personalities or skill sets will manifest at work. But, I remember it was so funny. I remember I once interviewed for a job in Sweden. They flew me to Stockholm. The CEO had appendicitis, so he couldn't meet me. So I met with the other founder. And I actually really loved Stockholm. I would totally live in the Nordic countries. They seem to have a lot of stuff
Big
figured out.
fan. Very cool.
Yeah. And so we were talking and he was like, "Yeah, it's very, very difficult to fire anyone in Sweden." So when we hire someone, it's such a serious decision. Like there are like many different types of interviews, many types of personality quizzes and tests, like many different considerations that go into play because once someone is in, like they're in. It's very hard unless like I think what he said is you have to prove that like your business took such a hit that like you had to essentially lay people off. But you can't in Sweden, or at least this was the case then, just fire someone because you didn't like them. And you can do that here. And part of it did make sense to me that they would take the time to actually like know themselves and know the candidate before actually hiring them.
It's amazing if you can do that. For us, it's so hard. Like, people know the right answers. People like know what to say in part because they watch this channel before the interview.
Yeah,
Excuse me. And
do their research.
yeah, they do research because it's a good job. It's for an attorney. It's a pretty great gig. And then their first year with us, they'll say, "You watch my every move." Yeah, of course, because we hired you to deal with people's lives and their well-being. Like,
Right.
I don't watch you. You could really harm someone.
Yeah.
And also, I have a profit motive. I gave you cases. Some of those cases are going to be seven-figure cases. You could get lazy and settle one for 100K. I'm not
Mm.
watching you, and you just threw a client's $900,000 out the window.
The stakes are so high in what you do. Like it is quite literally people's lives, similar
Yep.
to like obviously different, but doctors have to go through such training and analysis and scrutiny before they're able to like, or surgeons before they're able to slice people open. And with this, it's like this could be someone's entire future, like their future that you're holding in your hands.
The judgment's everything, and it's so
Mm.
hard. It's judgment in the moment under stress. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. We always fault police officers, and I think rightfully so. But like, decision making when you're scared, when
Mm.
everything's happening all at once, which is nobody's threatened to shoot an employment attorney most of the time. But like, in the moment, 10 things happening, your client's crying, the other side's screaming at you, the judge is like, "Tell me you'll take the deal," and you're just like, like, people make bad decisions sometimes, and
Yeah.
you don't know who you have until they make the decision in that moment.
Sure. For sure. Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to know what they can, like, hypothetically walk you through a time where they were stressed and made a decision, but you're not actually gonna know until they're in it, in that brain state.
Exactly. Exactly. Do you hire at all for your business?
Oh my god, this is this is actually a funny story. Because as you know, I had one business partner bad business partnership that was a business partner from the start, and then I hired someone and she became a business partner, and it turns out that she is just unwell. We don't have to get into it, but it just didn't work. And now my boyfriend's like, you should see a therapist about the fact that you don't want to hire anyone ever again. Because I'm like, I'm scared. Like I have this strange capacity for a lot of work. And I know I can do it all myself. Um, so, and I've hired people when the first iteration of Lioness, I hired, this woman who then became a director and then became a partner, but should not have been. And then two or three other people part-time. And I just realized that I think I also just because I'm somewhat of a I can be a little bit of a lone wolf sometimes. Like I just want to do things by myself because I like being around people, but not necessarily in like constant meetings or managing people or telling them what to do. Like I just like to be, I guess the better word is I'm like a free spirit. Like I like to just be free. So and then I can manage all the workload myself. So that's sort of where I'm at now. My boyfriend was saying, he was like, you're having a lot of people coming to you wanting to pay you to do things. And at a certain point, you're going to burn out if you can't delegate anything. So I have to get over that hurt. It's sort of the PTSD of having one really bad hire that just went like that basically turned my life upside down for a year. I'll get over it at some point, but it's hard.
It is. I mean, the other option is just keep raising your prices.
Yeah.
That's what happened to us a little bit. We could never hire. Obviously, we have plenty of attorneys, but frankly, if I could find the exact right people, I get 10 more tomorrow. And
Mm,
the reality is we can't find the exact right people, so we don't hire, and then we have to limit the cases we take, so our prices go up, and it works because
yeah.
people will want people want us, right? But it does feel bad because you end up turning your back on folks who can't afford you.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be helping people, and then you like start a YouTube channel, try to make up for that, and then accidentally it starts making money, and you feel bad about that too. So
I don't think you should feel bad, Vince. I mean,
I
it's
do.
not easy. Also, if you kept your prices lower and then hired attorneys who weren't perfect, then that wouldn't work either. That wouldn't be serving anyone either. If
Yeah,
you are that's what's hard. It's like if you are the product, at a certain point, the monetization of the self through YouTube, TikTok, whatever it may be, like that just becomes a reality of how I've even seen some influencers are hiring, not that like you or I would probably do this, but they're basically hiring AI assistants to respond to people
we have
as
call
them. Like
centers.
the AIs are
Oh,
like,
as them? Oh, wow.
yes,
I mean, we have
Vince AI.
call centers, we have intake professionals, we have chat operators, and that does handle a lot. Like if somebody messages on Instagram or Facebook, we have professional chat operators, like real human beings who handle those
Yeah.
conversations. Part of it was people getting too weird thinking they were talking to me. And then
Mm,
like
mm.
the people we had at the firm handling that were like, this is getting real weird. Like it's not okay anymore. And I'm like, what kind of conversation are you engaging in? And they're like, they think I'm you. I'm like, oh, I'm not. Why would that make it like? How is that better?
Have you heard of the concept of a parasocial relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kat, our mutual friend Kat,
Yeah.
is on the channel and talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets weird. Okay, let's move on to the next news story. This is similar to what we talked about a few episodes ago, related to reverse discrimination. Um, a federal judge refused to dismiss a lawsuit accusing IBM of forcing out a white male consultant in order to further its goals of building a more diverse workforce. I feel like there's just a lot of these that are coming up.
Yeah. Listen, always was a claim. You can't hire and fire based on race, any race. It's just that simple. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that was always the law. There was DEI that was well done by
Mm-hmm.
professionals, well thought through. There's a lot of good concepts. Representation matters, diversity matters. It is good for businesses, it's good for society. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
cannot
think
do it. Go ahead.
yeah. But I guess the law firm that's representing the consultant was founded by Stephen Miller, who's like one Trump's, number 4 guy, which makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's the law.
Yeah, no, it is. The EEOC is even saying like you can't just
Yeah.
hire people
Those
based on
cases don't excite me, but they're
yeah.
real and valuable
There's
cases. And you can't just be like, no, I don't want to bring them because you're white. Like that would then also be discrimination. So when those
yeah,
cases present, if it's a good case, you take it because that's the right thing to do. You have to, I hate the phrase like race blind, but you can't like not take a case because of someone's race, no matter what
yeah.
that race is.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. Um, and I guess maybe people are bringing more of these cases now because the culture has shifted, or
Yes.
it's like the backlash to all these like poorly planned DEI programs. And there are plenty of ones like good DEI programs, but there are ones I think that were just like really stupid. like to
Yeah. There was a lot of people who just would come in and be like, I'm a DEI expert. And they would like look okay. And they would like make a good pitch. And the company would just put them in power and they'd roll out like a quota system or something. And
mm,
can't do it. Can't have it.
yeah,
Not legal.
yeah. Yep. Okay, then this is the last one we have, unless you wanted to talk about something else. But this is a lawsuit brought against Con Ed by the Attorney General of New York, Letitia, or how do you say her name? Letitia James, Tish James, against Con Ed, and saying that people were just saying to female workers in the field, like, you don't belong here, you're not supposed to be here. Have you brought cases like that before? I imagine you have.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Trades cases nonstop. I brought those cases against Con Edison, frankly. But there's a lot of cases. You'll get cases where like part of the job is skilled labor and part of the job is like brute force labor. And there's a lot of bad blood crops up because people will like gently push the women into the skilled labor section, which pays better and has better quality of life. And men get left behind in the labor section, just pure labor, because they're not trained in the same way. And then all these guys are running around. You don't belong. You don't belong. It's a nightmare because there is like for various levels of misdeeds. Like you can't play preference with gender in terms of giving one group a better job. But clearly, the women in this. Oh, we lost you. You still there? Anyways, clearly these women do deserve their jobs. They're clearly succeeding in their jobs. So like it's a complex litigation often. But yeah, it's happens all the time. I think we may have lost Ari. Okay. Listen, that was the last story, everybody. You can like, subscribe, comment down below, share our channel so it can grow. This is going to go live Monday, the 31st. And then we'll be answering questions as normal going forward. And this will return to being the weekend show, the weekend current event show, generally to cover the weekends. I hope all is well. Do post your questions for Ari on the channel, and we will keep trying to get at least one of those answered each week. All right, everybody, be well, take care, have a great week. Like, subscribe, comment down below, share the channel so it can grow.